What's going on, everybody? It's the Granddad Willie, and we are back again with our second end of the year list. And this one right here is my top 5 honorable mentions and my top 5 letdowns of 2017. So the 5 honorable mentions are the albums that quite didn't make it into the top 15, but I do think that they deserve a little bit of a nod. And then you got the top 5 letdowns, which are albums that I expected to be good or I expected something out of, and I got let down and I was just utterly disappointed with the shit. So let's get right into it. So we'll start off. You know what? We'll start off with the letdowns. How about that? You know, because that's some new shit. So these are my albums that I listened to and I was just ultimately let down by them. I just really didn't get what I thought I was gonna get out of them, and I think that they could have been better. And these will all be videos that you will be able to see a review for. I have them all linked in the description, so make sure you check those out after this. So the first one on the list is Big Sean, I Decided. I mean, do I have to really say why? I mean, like, first of all, I went in knowing that I probably wasn't going to enjoy it because Big Sean albums usually are corny and just like, and this one here was it wasn't that different, yo. I mean, I tried, y'all. I really tried to, branch out in the beginning of the year and listen to some different shit. And I really thought Big Sean would have gave us something because I did like a couple songs on here, not really, but for the most part, it was just ultimately another Big Sean letdown. And, I didn't even bother listening to the thing he did with Metro Boomin. Because I heard the same shit. He was just doing the same shit he did. So, yeah, Big Sean just, it is what it is. But, I decided that was a letdown. So, yeah, there you go. The next album, Lupe Fiasco, Drogas Light. Now, I'm a big Lupe fan, y'all. And Drogas Light, it started off good-ish for me. It started off decent. And then it just kind of just fell off at the end because Lupe was doing all this other shit. He really wasn't giving us what we wanted. And then he said, well, this is not the songs that we're going to give you, before the actual Drogas album, which has not come out yet. We were supposed to get 3 albums in 1 year. Didn't happen. We got Drogas Light. Still haven't got the regular Drogas or Skulls, which was supposed to be after Drogas. But, it's just an album that I think Lupe, had a lot of just like weak spots on. The songs were just, and the production choices were a little, And it's just an album that I think, it had some moments on there, and then it had some moments that were just like, no. But I just expected more out of this. I was really expecting a lot out of this album, especially after Tetsuo and Youth was so damn good. This was like just Lupe's on that up and down curve. Like he has a slump, and then he'll drop something crazy, then he'll slump back down, and that's what Drogas Light was. So that was a bit of a letdown, but hopefully the next album, when it decides to drop, is good. The next one on the list, y'all, goes to Logic, Everybody. Now, Logic is here's the thing about Logic, y'all. Logic is another artist that I really have been like hit and miss with. I really haven't gotten too much into Logic, but I really wanted to give this album a shot because I did like his first single. I think it was Everybody. I really liked that single. But then when I got to the concept of the entire album, it just fell apart to me. Like, I think he really missed the ball on a good concept. I broke down what I thought the concept of Everybody should have been because he just really ended up just talking about his mixed raceness and, how he's half black, half white and what he goes through. And he really just didn't, he didn't execute the concept right. And then he had, Neil deGrasse Tyson come in for some reason to play God, and the concept of who God is and, how life goes and all. It just went all over the place. Like, watch the review, and he ended up getting a big hit out of the 1-800, the Suicide Hotline song. That ended up becoming a really big hit later on in the year, and I'm proud of him for that. Good job on that shit. But in general, the album was just another letdown, and I think it could have been so much more conceptually and just subject matter wise. But he got a hit out of this shit, so I don't think he gets a fuck. But that was a letdown for me definitely this year. The next album on the list goes to Vince Staples' Big Fish Theory. And even though over time I've grown to appreciate Big Fish Theory more for what it is, it still was a disappointing album because I expected something different out of Vince, especially after Summertime '06. He just completely leapfrogged to a whole new area and plane that I don't think anybody was ready for. The sound of the album, which is very weird and out there and eccentric, a lot of electronic vibes on there, and his rapping on there was good, but it just was shrouded around just like all this just weird, just like all over the place stuff. Now, when I did see Vince perform live, I understood more why he went this sound, because live this shit sounds fucking amazing. But when you're listening to it as a general album front to back, I just think Big Fish Theory leaves more to be desired, and it just was an album that I just really didn't go back to that much after listening to it. So that was a bit of a letdown, because I do think Vince is very, very talented, and I do think that he has a great album in him. It just wasn't this one. And the number one letdown of the year, y'all, I mean, you already know, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Eminem Revival. Oh my God, Eminem. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how he fell so far from grace. I don't know who's behind the scenes helping him make these projects or putting together these projects, but Revival was just probably the biggest letdown of the year as far as hip-hop albums are concerned, with an album or an artist of his caliber. Because this album right here is just not what we want from Eminem. He's doing the same shit. He starts off saying, I know that, like, I'm not doing as good as I used to. I know my songs and my rhymes aren't that great. And then he ends up doing the same shit anyway in the same album. And then he, like, has all these pop features. He's got a lot of terrible hooks on here, a lot of cringy lines. I mean, I'm still thinking about booty is heavy duty like diarrhea. Like, damn, that was a terrible line, M. Come on. And then just like there was, I mean, 19 songs, only about like 4 of them were good to tolerable. I mean, it's just like M just like dropped the ball on this album. And I just hope that, like I said in my review, he just switches it up. Because if he doesn't and he keeps doing this shit, he might as well just retire, because nobody's going to give a fuck. Like, literally, this is not where Eminem needs to be going in his career at this point. And it's just, it's an album that I just really just did not enjoy, and I didn't go back to. I actually deleted it off my iTunes. I mean, it's not there. I don't need to listen to it no more. So hopefully M takes this, you know, this critique that he's been getting from all over the place about this album, and he just puts it towards something better. We just want better from M. We know you can do better, so do fucking better. But Revival, we don't need to revive that at all. It's just, it wasn't good. And those, y'all, were my top 5 letdowns. So let me give you my top 5 honorable mentions. And these are albums that just missed the top 15, but I do think deserve some sort of praise and respect, because I do think that they still were good albums, just not good enough to reach my top 15. So we're going to start off with Joey Badass, All American Badass. I think this is a really well put together album. I think Joey did a good job. I think he's grown as an artist. I mean, the production on here was done really well. The subject matter was very, very socially aware and socially conscious, and I think Joey tackled it very well. But I do think some songs on here were very just hit and miss with me, and I didn't really find myself going back to the album that much after I heard it. But I do think Joey did a good job. I still find myself enjoying Before the Money a little bit more than this album, but I give props to Joey for doing it, and he really just, you know, made a statement with what he wanted to say, and he pulled it off for the most part very well. So check out All American Badass. I think it's a really good album, just didn't make my top 15. The next album, which is actually an EP, but I think it was really good still, Injury Reserve, Drive It Like It's Stolen. I've grown to really like Injury Reserve and what they're doing, and on this project or this EP, I think they really carried that momentum from Floss, even though I think the first 2 songs were a little, they could have left the first 2 songs off. Everything else on the EP, stellar, phenomenal, great. I think, you know, Richie with the T, 7J Groggs, and Parker Corey work well together. I like what they're doing out of Arizona. They're putting Arizona on the map, and I think really, you know, they are going to just keep getting better and better with time. So hopefully their next full-length album really just keeps that momentum, and they give us something great. But this one here, really good. Didn't make the top 15, but, you know, I did play it, and I still play it from here to there. Really good album, project, EP, whatever you want to call it. Injury Reserve doing their thing. The next album on the list of honorable mentions goes to Wu-Tang with their album The Saga Continues. Now, it's not called Wu-Tang Clan because it really wasn't a full Wu-Tang Clan album. There was no U-God, there was no GZA, I don't think. I mean, it was a little bit of GZA, but not enough to really, like, I mean, really, you know, say GZA was up in this thing. And I think that Method Man, for the most part, really stole the show. RZA did a good job. And then I think Raekwon and, you know, Ghost kind of phoned it in. But I do like what Redman did on here, even though he's not really a Wu-Tang member. He's pretty much, you know, an affiliate. But he did really good on here. I think the production on here was really done well. Mathematics tackled it really well. He gave us his best ability. He gave us that vintage Wu-Tang sound. It's a very good album for what it is. It's probably one of the best Wu-Tang albums we've gotten in a long time. But at the same time, there are clearly better Wu-Tang albums in their catalog. But I do think Wu-Tang gave us something that for the vintage, old school Wu-Tang fans, we could really appreciate and like. And there are still some songs on it that I go back to and listen to, so it's a dope one. just didn't make it to the top 15. The next album on the list goes to CyHi the Prynce, No Dope on Sundays. And this is the album, y'all, that I really was looking forward to. I think CyHi the Prynce is mad slept on. I think he's very talented, especially coming out of Atlanta. His lyrical ability, his wordplay, his production choices are always good. His affiliation with good music. I mean, it took a while for him to get this album out, but when we finally got it, I think we got a really solid, well put together album. I thought it would have been better than what it was. CyHi does have some songs here that I really don't care too much for, and I do skip over. But I mean, No Dope on Sundays itself, the title track is crazy. You know, Pusha T's feature on there is really dope. I mean, New Africa is one of my favorite songs of the year. I love that song. I mean, and there's just so many things about this album that is really dope. CyHi's killing it on the mic, and the beats on here, like I said, for the most part, except for other songs on here that I didn't care too much for, are really done well. I just expected a lot more because CyHi is up here to me on as far as a lyrical standpoint and what he's done in the past. But I think it's an album that you should definitely listen to and deserves an honorable mention nod. And it just missed the top 15. But you know what, CyHi? Maybe next year you'll hit in the top 15. But you know what? No Dope on Sundays, good shit. And the last album on my honorable mention list goes from one of my favorite MCs, and it goes to Talib Kweli with Radio Silence. I think this is one of the best quality albums we've gotten in recent times, but it still isn't like an amazing, like, you know, quality Black Star, you know, eardrum level album. But I do think Kweli did a really good job production-wise, lyric-wise. It's business as usual with Talib Kweli. Usually, you know, he's been in this state where he's just giving us consistently good albums, but this one is a little bit better than what he's given us in the past. And I just think Kweli has just been able to keep his career afloat really well over these years, and he's going to continue to be able to keep doing that, which I think is dope. So definitely check it out if you're a Kweli fan. Radio Silence is an album that I think needs to be listened to. Don't be silent on this album. It's really dope. Jay Electronica verse on there is really dope. He's got other good features on there. The ending track is really nice. I just think it's a good album, so check it out. Really nice. And there it is, y'all. There's my top 5 honorable mentions and my top 5 letdowns of the year. So let me know what your 5 honorable mentions, the ones that didn't quite make your top list but did deserve a nod, and your albums that you just were mad disappointed in that you thought were going to be really good and ended up being dog shit. Like literal shit of the dog. I mean, but yeah, they tried. I mean, but you know, I think it's just like a good year for music. I mean, there was a lot of albums here. I was really like trying to figure out what was a letdown. Well, the letdown was easy, but the honorable mentions were a little difficult because, you know, I just had to make sure these were albums that I liked, but just didn't like, it just didn't quite make it. But now we got one more video, y'all. The top 15 of 2017. That's going to be dropping tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. This was a little difficult, y'all. Because a lot of shit dropped this year. I had to keep it within the realm of what I reviewed, but it's something that I can't wait to talk about. So definitely let me know what your lists are for your honorable mentions or your letdowns, because I want to hear. I want to get that conversation going, and we got one more to go. The last day of the year, I'm going to give you my top 15. And what's on the list? Y'all going to have to see. What's my album of the year, y'all? I'm going to just say it was a hard choice. I was bouncing back and forth between 2 albums, but we're going to find out what Granddad's album of the year is tomorrow. So check it out. I'm out of here.